Hey guys, Victor here, coming at you again with another Tearlaments deck profile. And today's deck is going to be post the September 2023 Forbidden and Limited list. As you know, Kashtira Fenrir is finally banned. So that's one of the main issues that this deck actually had in the current metagame, because a lot of the times you would just auto lose if a Reinoheart hit the field. But now all we really have to worry about is Dimension Shifter, but still that's perfectly fine. We don't really care too much about it because there aren't really that many decks that can abuse it. And the ones that can take it full advantage of it aren't honestly the greatest. So with that out of the way, let's just jump straight into the video. Now for the monsters, you have your standard lineup. You have your 3 Tearlaments Kashtira, your 1 Tearlaments Scheiren, the 1 Tearlaments Havnis, and the 1 Tearlaments Merlli, along with 2 Tearlaments Reinoheart. Not much to say. The only thing, like I always say, is that you can either play 2 or 3 Reinoheart, but the difference is honestly negligible at most points, but it's honestly up to you. Then you have the Shizu monsters, so you have the 1 Kelbek, the 1 Agido, the 1 Mudora, and the 1 Keldo. Good cards are good. Let's just leave it at that. And then, since this is the synchro variant that I've showcased on this channel before, we're not going to be playing regular King of the Swamps. We're going to be playing 3 Beastking of the Swamps. And my theory with this is, it's a level 4, so that means it has a lot more synergy with the tuners that you're playing, such as Revolution Synchron, as it allows you to go into your pretty much your Ancient Fairy, into your Visas and Murtara play a lot more consistently than if you decided to, play regular King of the Swamp, which kind of does end up breaking at times with your Revolution Synchron. So we wanted to avoid that and just pretty much focus entirely on the synchro aspect of this deck. And then speaking of Revolution Synchron, we're going to be playing 3 of them still. You play a bunch of level 4s. Ideally, you want to have the Beastking of the Swamps just because, it becomes free fodder and you don't really enjoy linking off your Tearlaments themselves or your Shizu monsters, just because you'd rather end up trying to discard them via card effects or whatever to get their effects trigger. But still, really solid card, has a lot of really cool uses with this deck. And then to complement our Revolution Synchron, we're going to be playing 3 Kashtira Fenrir. So this is a card that I've pretty much omitted from playing in most lists that I've showed off, just because I always felt like this card should be hit in some capacity, but with the recent list, Fenrir is still at 3 for some reason, so we're finally going to be taking full advantage of it. Now, you may be wondering, why am I playing 3 Kashtira Fenrir instead of, just the standard 1 Fenrir, maybe 2 plus a field spell? And spoilers, I'm not playing the field spell. But instead, I opted to go maxed out on Kashtira Fenrir for a couple reasons. The main one being that it does have synergy with Revolution Synchron. So you go for special Kashtira Fenrir, you search your Tearlaments Kashtira, you normal summon your Revolution Synchron, you synchro for Baronne, and then you're pretty much free to activate your effects without having to worry about them being negated or hit by Nibiru or whatever, because you have that Baronne negate. This is pretty much something that you used to see a lot in older Kashtira variants, where they were basically just playing Baronne Turbo. So you play a bunch of level 7s plus the level 3 hand trap, you just normal summon, you make Baronne, and then your plays typically go off without a hitch. But it matters a lot more in this one, because by going Kashtira Fenrir into Tier Cash with the Revolution Synchron, you're always guaranteed to have fodder, because Tearlaments Kashtira can banish the Fenrir that you synchro summon with, and it's just an overall really good card, and I definitely think you should be playing 3 of them in this specific version. Obviously, if you play the more fusion-based focused, this card isn't as important, so if you're not playing Revolution Synchron, you should definitely just be playing 1 or 2 Fenrir plus the field spell. But for this one, you have to play the 3 Fenrir. And then we just have a couple of additional tuners. You have the 1 Jet Synchron, it's just a good generic level 1 monster that can bring itself back by discarding a card. And, sometimes you just have to discard an Shizu monster. Or, since we play level 8 Synchros, this is also another really cool alternative with the Fenrir play. So you go Fenrir, add normal Jet, Synchro for 8, and then your options open up even more, because you have the Jet discard to summon itself, and then you still have the fodder for your Tearlaments Kashtira that you're adding off the Fenrir. And then for the final tuner, you have 1 Destrudo. I just like the versatility that it offers you, and it's really easy to pretty much just play around with your levels to make whatever synchro you may need for the situation. And with that, that's the monster lineup, and now we can finally move on to the spell and trap portion of the deck. The spell lineup is pretty straightforward. It pretty much never changes. You just have a couple of flex spots. So we're going to be playing the 3 Primeval Planet Perlereino, 3 Super Polymerization, which I think is really solid in this current format, especially with Kashtira Fenrir being banned, because the 3 biggest decks that I see taking over are probably Perley, which this card is okay against, but you're typically going to side it out. It's really good against Unchained, because as long as you opened up a dark or a water monster, which we play plenty of, you'll be able to pretty much break their entire boards and then make Mudragon. And since that entire deck pretty much revolves around targeting, a lot of the times Mudragon can just straight up win the game. So Yeah, really good. And then the third deck is probably going to be Flu, if I'm being honest, just because it has such a strong matchup against Unchained, and it's one of the few decks that can actually still main deck Dimension Shifter. So Super Poly is pretty solid against that because they typically have, their Penguin, Empen, or like an Apex Avian together on the field. So just Super Poly those, get rid of those threats, and then you should be good to go. Then, after that, we're going to be playing 3 Tearlaments Green. This is always one of those cards that people are constantly debating on going back to 2 or 3. For now, I'm on 3, but you never know. It's always changing. Sometimes I feel like playing 2. Sometimes I feel like playing 3. Sometimes I feel like playing 1, honestly, just because you want to fit in as many non-engine cards as possible to try and wombo combo as hard as you can, But for now, 3, pretty good. I really enjoy it. And then we have a bunch of 1-ofs, being the 1-of Tuning. Searches out your synchrons, whether it's at Revolution or Jet. Really solid. Foolish Burial Goods, Tearlaments Grief, and then for the final spell, I still really enjoy Instant Fusion because it auto summons Mudragon of the Swamp, which means that sometimes you don't even need the Super Poly to break an opponent's board. Because let's face it, if you activate Instant Fusion, a lot of the times their opponent's probably going to let it resolve because there isn't really anything that gets their entire combo going. So, and plus it has the synergy with the Revolution Synchron being able to summon a level 4 monster immediately for your Ancient Fairy. Yeah, you guys know the play by now, but yeah, I really like the card. I think it's really solid. And even without Kick Kaloss, it still does a lot for the deck. And that's it for the spells. Then you have the traps. So you have the 2 Sulliek and the 1 Trivikarma. No meta noise, just because I feel like it's better suited for the side when you're guaranteed to go first, and then no crime for the same reason. If you're going second, those cards are pretty mediocre to bad in a lot of situations. And with that, that's the spell and trap lineup, and now we can finally move on to the extra deck. Now, for the extra deck, it's pretty much been solved, and much like the spells and traps, you have a little bit of room for flexing, but not much. But I still really like the tech choices, and for now, this is pretty much just theory because obviously we can't test the format until it actually comes out and is legal for us in like a week after this video has been posted, but it's still fun to theorize what can be good. So we have the 1 Cross Sheep, just a really good generic extender, helps free up slots from your field, helps you get back Revolution Synchrons from your graveyard, things like that. Then we have the 1 Time Thief Redoer because sometimes your hands are mediocre and you need to be able to get your Scheirens in the grave or your Reinohearts, whatever the level 4 may be. Then we're playing 1 Abyss Dweller. So, with the Reinoheart being banned and Unchained pretty much, as of right now, being the best deck in the format, Abyss Dweller goes pretty hard because that deck revolves around destruction, and a lot of the time they're going to be in the grave, especially against this deck, right? Because we don't banish anything that belongs to them. So, a lot of the times Dweller can just straight up win the matchup. And if this deck does become a lot more popular, which, it might just because of Kashtira Reinoheart is banned. This is a really solid card that you can have in your deck for having like an advantage over other Tearlaments players or at least game 1. So I definitely recommend playing Abyss Dweller right now, at least for now while the format is still, trying to get solved. But as it develops, who knows, maybe it'll be cuttable, maybe you move it to the side, but I really do enjoy this card right now. Then we have a bunch of fusion monsters. So we have our Mudragon, our Garura, our Dragostapelia, just regular super poly targets, always really solid. Then you have your King of the Swamp targets, being Grapha, rulkaloss, kaleido-heart, all really good cards. And that's it for the fusions, and then we just play a bunch of synchros. So for the first synchro, I'm trying out Naturia Beast. I don't know how it's going to be, if it's going to be like amazing or not, but it's honestly really cool, and it's pretty simple to make, honestly, just because you have a lot of methods of getting back your Earth monsters, being your Shizu monsters from the graveyard, thanks to cards like Cross Sheep. Since we have multiple methods to actually get into Mudragon of the Swamp, you can always change that to Earth, and you always going to be combining them with Revolution Synchron, obviously, to make a level 5 synchro. And, sometimes it just does come up, but I don't know how to feel about it right now. It's still early testing phase, but the potential's there, and Naturia Beast is a blowout card in a lot of situations, so pretty solid, but I don't know if it's going to be sticking around for future incarnations of this deck. You play the 1 Don Dragster, just another easy, solid level 7 that you can make with Destrudo plus anything else that's level 6 or lower. Ancient Fairy Dragon, which you use for your Revolution Synchron combos with any level 4 monsters. Visa Samritara, which is what you're going to make off the Ancient Fairy Revolution Synchron combo. And then it in turn searches you for literally any Tearlaments spell or trap, just because every single one of those cards has Visa Starfrost in the text. So, you know, pretty solid. And then sometimes the effect to destroy a card does come up. Not often, but it's nice to have the option. The other only level 8 is Synchron Lord Omega. I still prefer Omega to other cards, but you have tons of options for this slot. You can play Crystal Wing, Synchro Dragon. You can play Dragite. You know, things of that nature. But I just like the versatility that Omega offers you of being able to recycle cards like your Shizu monsters, your Trivikarmas, and then in turn also banish a card out of your opponent's hand. So yeah, card is really solid. And then for the final Synchro monster, we're of course playing the one bearing the fleur. Card's insane. Free Omni Negate. If you use the negate during your turn to stop, say, something like a Nib or a Bestial monster, that's perfectly fine, because then during the opponent's standby phase, you just return this card back, and then you special summon like a level whatever monster from your graveyard. And typically you can bring back like your Tearlaments Reinoheart or your Tearlaments Kashtira, and then try to mill 3 or get something specific in the grave to fusion summon. And yeah, things get out of hand really fast when this card hits the field. And with that, that's the deck profile. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, please feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll catch you guys next time. See ya!